can be anything we want to be. Positivity. Edition today, we're with Pam Coyle. She's with the Searcy County Fair in Arkansas. Pam, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Pam, give us a little background on you. Where'd you grow up? Talk a little bit about your family.
I grew up in 56, Arkansas, population of 125, which is kind of north central, up around Blanchard Springs Caverns.
Okay.
I'm a native of Arkansas. My family was established in the early 1800s and actually did homestead part of Blanchard at that time. I left 56 when I was about 16, 17 years old to go to college. Went to UAMS in Little Rock, became a advanced nurse practitioner, and kind of traveled around the United States and retired and came back home.
Wow, very good. What put your role with the county fair?
Define, what are you asking me?
Well, how did you get your position with the county fair?
Oh, how did I get I was elected into the position.
Elected.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What gave you the desire to do that?
They had started a shared grounds kitchen, which was back before the cottage food industry law changed. You had to have a certified kitchen in order to make pickles. And I had a great pickle recipe and I wanted to make pickles. And so that's how I got involved.
I've never heard a story start with a pickle. That's awesome. That's fantastic. That's the title of your book. It all started with a pickle.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, let's jump into your fair. We talked a little bit off air. You're really, really proud of your history of the county fair and the importance that it had for your community. Talk a little bit about that.
The fair was established in 1909, and apparently from the newspaper articles that we have read, it started because there was a tick problem in the cattle, and they were trying to highlight some of the agricultural difficulties that they were having at the time. And then it went from there to becoming an annual event where people would bring in their produce, they would bring in their livestock, and they would show off what they had accomplished. Back in the day, they had hay competitions on who had the best hay in the county. At one time, Searcy County was the strawberry capital of Arkansas. So, and then of course you had your livestock, and then you had your auctions on your livestock.
Very good, very good.
Mm-hmm.
How did they control the tick population back then? I'm just kind of curious.
I'm kind of curious too, and I can't find the answer to that question. I think they got a hold of the extension office, and the University of Arkansas may have gotten involved if they were actually in at that time. More than likely, it was not something that we utilize today.
Yeah, that's what that's what I wondered. Well, and actually, it might be something that we look back into utilizing instead of using pesticides and things like that. It could have been some practical applications like burning pastures or I don't know. I have no knowledge base of that at all. So that's interesting that it came together like that. We talked in our email a little bit. You feel pretty passionate about what the county fair does for your youth. Talk about
that. The county fair showcases not only our kids who raise livestock, but it also showcases some of the kids in the home economics, consumer science divisions. We had one little guy who raises his own rabbits. He harvests that rabbit, he tans that hide, and he brings in and he makes him a pillow out of that hide off of that rabbit. One little girl was 9 years old and she made her first quilt. And that was through a 4-H project that we had here. So we're teaching these children, and then you have your livestock, and they bring in their calves, and they bring in their goats, and they bring in their chickens, and they get to showcase and get out into a show ring. So you're teaching these kids valuable, in my opinion, lessons in life for showmanship and how to care for something.
Yeah, no, I love that. Did you have 4-H when you were a youngster?
We did not have 4-H in 56, Arkansas. We had a small school, and I think in my class, there were 7 kids.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. I graduated in a class of 15, and we had a population of 435, but it was a rural school, so it kind of encompassed a lot of other small towns. I'm just scanning the Facebook page for your county fair right now. I wanted to see if that rabbit pillow case was on your page anywhere.
It's not on our page because I didn't realize whenever that child did what he did, how important that aspect was. But I would have loved to have had a picture of him with his.
How long ago was this? You think maybe
it was the first year that it was in 2023.
Okay, so his family might have a photo of it or something.
Yeah, I need to probably get a hold of his mom and see whether or not we could get it.
It's intriguing. It's the first one I've ever heard of it. And right away, my first reaction is I would probably sneeze. My allergies would probably go off the roof. That's funny. One of the other topics that we felt was important here is the economic impact that the county fair has. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, whenever you have, number one, we have to have feed, and we have to have other necessary things for the animals at the fair. And then this year, what we did, instead of giving out plaques and buckles, etc., we gave the kids $25 gift certificates as part of their awards to go back to the local feed barn, our feed store, which was Marshall Milling. And so that created an opportunity for that particular business to have more income coming in based upon the fair. And then whenever they sell their animals, that gives the kids more money in order so they can go buy animals or go buy feed or go buy necessary items that they need for their animals itself. Looking at the sales tax revenue during that period of time, I've done that, and I can't see a sales tax increase, but we do not have a carnival because we cannot afford a carnival.
Sure.
I think that if we did have a carnival, then we would probably get some sales tax revenue off of that.
I got you. Is that something that you guys are looking into doing?
We have, but they want $15,000 to $100,000 up front in order to come into our county. And we just don't have that kind of money.
Right. And I don't know what your attendance is, but that would be very hard to generate from that. Some of our other organizations have really, really relied on sponsorships, corporations and companies. And depending on your county, that may be limited for you. I don't know,
it is. It's very limited. We do not have. Our major industry here is logging and agriculture, and that's our local farms. And the farms usually donate to the livestock awards for the kids or to the auction for the animals. And then, but as far as having a manufacturing plant, we do not.
Yeah. Revenue generation, I could see definitely being a big challenge in a small community for sure. Very good. Well, you're clearly defined on your purpose, and I love that because it really is about the youth, the 4-H organization there, and just a chance. It probably is the biggest event that happens in your county. If I had, it's one of the biggest ones, and then we have a rodeo after the fair, and between the rodeo and the fair itself, it's one of our largest events that we do have. Yes, ma'am. That's wonderful. Pam, thanks for sharing about your fair. Is there anything else that you want people to know? Maybe let's talk about, just give us one tip. If you are a county fair and you're a small with some really some really tight restrictions based on your economic status or your population, what's a tip that you can give, maybe a word of encouragement to those organizations?
It's, as an all volunteer organization, I would go ahead and pursue getting a 501c3, and that way all of the donations that come in can be deducted from your taxes. That was one of the big points. Make sure that the volunteers that you're bringing in are all of the same mindset. You can have a bank of volunteers, but if you're not all on the same page, it makes life a little bit difficult.
That's wonderful advice. Wonderful advice. Very good. Pam, thanks for being on with us today. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Hey guys, we're with Kordale Despain today. He is with the Navajo County Fair, and I heard y'all had some snow up in the mountains.
Yep, they are experiencing snow. I'm actually in Oklahoma right now, so I'm nice and hot and warm.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day down there, is it not?
Oh yeah, yes sir.
All right. Let's just jump in here. Talk about you for just a little bit. Where'd you grow up? Talk about your association with the fair, and then we'll go from there.
I grew up in Joseph City, Arizona, on a ranch there, and then my dad was fair board president when I was growing up, and then he stepped down from fair board president because mom told him that he needed to either become fire chief or fair board president. Uh, so he went fire chief, and then we stepped away a little bit, and then I started showing livestock in the junior livestock division and stuff like that, showing pigs and steers, and then just kind of grew from there. And then I finally got old enough, and my dad was back on the board, and I was on the board. So yeah.
Very good. All right, let's talk about the county fair. You grew up there. You've got a lot of experience with it. What in your opinion, what makes your county fair special?
Man, I I think it's the most special in Arizona because I'm a part of it and I want ours to be the best, right? So I'm kind of biased about it, but
Sure.
um out of all the fairgrounds I've been to around the country, I think ours is the best facility. I mean, we put a lot of hard work and sweat in it, just like every other fair and rodeo and does, yes, sir. But I don't know. I think ours is special just because it's 94 years this year, and it's just part of history. It's
Yeah.
built into Navajo County.
Okay. All right. All right. Give us a visual picture of what your fair includes. Does it? You mentioned. I think you mentioned a rodeo. Do you? Is it solely agricultural based, or is there a lot of community events like a carnival and talent shows and entertainment going on? What's
Yes,
your fair like?
it's everything. I mean, we got um starting Wednesday, we have opening ceremonies, which the gates open for the fair for the week. The carnival is going on Wednesday. We have opening ceremonies. We have last year we had bands. I don't know if we're gonna have bands this year. Um, Thursday we have stuff going on stage all day long. Um, we have livestock shows on Thursday for the kids, and then the carnivals at night, and then at night we have a demolition derby, and then Friday and Saturday we have stuff going on all day on the stage, as in high school bands, talent, um, balloon guys, every like trade show people, I guess you could
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
and then we have rodeo at night.
Okay. All right. And for the fair side of it, typical fair entry stuff, 4-H, like the home ec, a lot of arts and crafts,
Just
and then you've got
we
your
have a
animals aspects.
yeah, we have an open class building, which is our fine arts and all of our arts, and then we have our small stock area, which is poultry, and then we have um our junior livestock, which is sheep, goats, pigs, steers. Um, so yeah, we got it all, and then we have a trade show deal in Martinez Hall.
Very cool. Very cool. If you looked ahead to the future of county fairs, as you know, things are evolving. You've got a lot of urbanites that are drifting towards more rural areas. And what does the fair look like to try to attract, new people?
Man, we're trying a lot of new deals. I'm trying to get a bigger concert in there this year, and our goal is to grow
Mhm.
with times. There's fairs that have done it that are outstanding, and they've held on there. So, and I think there's a lot of potential in fairs, and I think that we still need fairs because it brings us our back to where everyone is friends instead of strangers.
Yeah, no, it's a large community event. I'm
Yeah.
assuming there.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and
What?
it goes, and we're not just community like county. We invite everyone
Yeah,
from all over the state, and we it just brings us back. We're we're so strangers anymore in the world. Back in the day, everyone knew everyone.
yeah.
So,
Well, and there's not a lot of counties there, you know.
oh,
So
no,
and they're big, expansive counties
yeah,
as it goes through there. That's fantastic. Looking back, Cordell, as a kid, what was one of your greatest memories of the county fair?
man, I don't know. I got a lot of them. I got a lot of them. I won multiple times in the pig ring or in the show ring and the pig steers. I won roping events there, and I don't just so many great memories.
Is
Things that,
live auction? You guys still have a live auction?
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Everything sells. It's everything has to sell, but it doesn't have to get killed.
Yeah.
If that makes any
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. Makes great sense. Make great sense. When you look ahead, at where, do you have kids yet?
No, sir. No,
Okay.
sir.
So that has to be something that you want to share with your family in the future. I have to
Yeah.
imagine. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Great.
and that's the whole point of the county fair is for families.
Yeah.
So, yes,
Very
I
good.
would appreciate. Yeah.
You're one of the youngest fair board members that we've probably talked to in the past couple of seasons, and that's encouraging
Yeah.
because the youth and vitality and the energy that you can bring to that is huge.
Correct. And my deal about it is my generation doesn't volunteer much time. They barely have jobs. So I want to I get so my job is I run video production and scoring and timing for pro rodeos.
Mhm.
And we do other events besides pro rodeos, a little bit of concerts and stuff. We run video screens.
Mhm.
And so I don't know. The reason I volunteered and stuff like that, even before I am in this position that I am now, is just because I mean it's 94 years. You want to be a part of it, and I like being a part of the history, and I encourage people to go volunteer and be a part of that stuff. And if we get complaints all the time everywhere, I mean, but we're all volunteers. Like if you guys got to complain about it, come volunteer, come hang out and experience what we experience.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. Well, it's obvious your passion is good, and like I said, it is very rare. We don't interview a lot of men of your age, so that's perfect. Cordale, anything else you want to share with us today?
No, just come out, hang out September 11th through the 12th, 2025.
Beautiful.
Well, I know it.
Yeah, that's a beautiful time of year down there. Absolutely.
Oh
Cool.
yeah, yes sir.
All right, have fun in Oklahoma, man. I appreciate it.
Yes sir, I appreciate you. Have a good day.
You bet. Hey, we are with Nancy Thelen. She's with the Whidbey Island Fair. She is the manager there. Nancy, thanks for joining us.
Of course.
Nancy, give us a little background on you. Where'd you grow up? Talk a little bit about your family and your career.
So actually I grew up here on Whidbey Island. Well, since I was 10, but before that we had been what they call summer people. We'd come up to our property, stay in a cabin and trailers and stuff. So not the same summer people as nowadays. But so I grew up here. I participated in the Whidbey Island Fair, and back then it was called the Island County Fair. It was owned by the county at that point. And participated as a 4-H'er, did horse 4-H, finished school, got married, started raising a family. And when my daughter got not even quite old enough, because there's age ranges for 4-H, when you can start and when you can do stuff.
Yep.
She was raring and ready to go. So we had a dog. We got a dog, and I became a 4-H leader at that point and was a dog 4-H leader for about 5 years. And then we did the thing that we swore we would never do, and we morphed into horse 4-H. So we ended up with a horse in our backyard.
Wait. At the urging of your daughter?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Of course. And so we had told my husband, don't worry, we'll never do horses. That's, they're snooty over there. The dog people are nice. We're not going there. But she had a passion for horses and had a family member who helped her sort of find one. And so then we ended up in horse 4-H, and I was a leader in horse 4-H, brought back the club that I had been in as a child. It had been defunct for a while. One of my old co-4-Hers and I decided to bring the club back. Her daughter was riding. So finished out doing that until my daughter graduated. Then I stayed leader for like another year. Then I just went off I worked at the local grocery store here. That was what I did for 32 years. My husband and I own a construction company, and it had gotten busy to the point I left there right at the pandemic. And then decided I need a little more people interaction than sitting and staring at the walls in this office every day. And the gal that was running the fair, the manager, her and I go back, and she said, I'm leaving and I think that you should apply. And in the meantime, in there, I had gone to school for event planning. So it was always sort of a little niche that I've always been good at, planning events and stuff all through my kids being in high school, booster club, PTA, all that stuff. I was involved and was always involved in planning all of the different events they did. Yep. So I applied, and I'm actually very new to this. I have not even finished my whole first year as the fair manager. I started doing this last March. So I dove in the deep end. She stayed on to kind of guide me and show me, this is what you need to do, because there was no written manual in the office. And I just came back from the fair convention in Spokane, one of many fair conventions. And I found out that it's not unheard of, that it's fairly normal, that there is no guidelines in these offices on how to and what you need to do. It's sort of trial by fire. So made it through my first fair, and I am now in my first planning season for this to be mine, like full on.
But you've been a part of this fair for a long time. So
been a part of this fair. So I knew the fair. I love the fair. And it's sort of, having fair struggles, like most of them are.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, I want to see what I can do to help revive it a little bit, a new perspective, new people, have a different thought process. Your energy level is fresh.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into it. So let's just treat this like a new venture. When you got in the middle of it, when you got right in the middle, what were some of the challenges you faced right away?
Well, clearly not knowing what you're supposed to do every day, coming into work every day and finding out you were supposed to do something yesterday, or something technically probably should have been done yesterday or the week before, figuring out how to do the contracts for people, pulling them up and refilling things in, challenges, just the learning the basic dailies.
Yeah.
Because at that point we were deep in procuring all the vendors, whether it was food or retail vendors and stuff. Some of the entertainment had been secured, but not all of it. So reaching out to people, sending out piles of letters here, to returning vendors. If you're still interested, please send this back. Setting up advertising for it,
Are you good at asking for help?
Medium. I'm not always the best, because I have a vision in my head, and if they aren't going to do it exactly the way I want it done,
right,
I have a hard time letting go of things. And I had a hard time that first year, especially because I couldn't ask for help for what I didn't know that I needed help with.
Yeah.
I didn't really know I needed help until that day. Like, oh gosh, I need a crew of people to take all these advertising banners and go put them out places.
Yeah.
I can't leave the office and do that. And just different organizing styles. But, you know, I knew the manager before, and I have always known, you know, we work differently. We're great together, but we have definitely different strengths and different styles. And so that was a challenge, working under that much of a timeline stress with a different working style. But we made it. It was great, you know, and I kept notes all along the way on how I might want to do things different this year, how I would attack just the whole process.
Gotcha. I'm not good at asking for help either, but it has been very clear to me that unless you manage and delegate well, growth will not happen. So that's good. Let's talk about your fair. Let's talk about your exact fair. What do you love about it? What makes it special?
Given the fact that I've not experienced tons of other fairs and I just went to my first convention, it's hard to know exactly what makes us special, maybe in different ways from other fairs, but it's sort of that reconnection point every year for people. You know, it used to be in August, it's now in July. And so it's that reconnecting of, you know, the kids. It's special for the kids. You go there, and because it's a small country fair, you know, I mean, I don't feel like I live in the country, but I guess I do.
Yeah.
You know, I would say I live on an island. So, I mean, I have sort of different views of that. But you're in this very small community fair. And when you get there, you recognize or know a very large percentage of these people. You feel safe letting your kids, it's like you've kind of gone into another world and they get the freedom to run around. You know that there's always a big Friday night band, Saturday night band, with everybody comes to hear the music, and you've got people dancing. And it's a place for all the local, the youth to come and show off their animals and what they do all year with them, and for local adults that have a passion for their photography or their felting or their quilting or their canning, all those different things to display it. One of the things that when they founded the fair, they said they hoped to never lose sight of their beginning as an old-fashioned county fair.
Yeah.
Where people come and display the stuff they've worked on all year, and just that community feeling of coming together.
So let me ask you this. You're new at this, and when it all comes down to it, 5 years down, not even 5, 1 year down the road, I want to redo this interview, and I want to go back and I want to hear your answer. What are your goals for the fair? In the next 5 years, what do you want to see happen at the fair?
I would like to see, some major improvements in some areas, but that's a team project because the Port of South Whidbey owns our fairgrounds now, or manages it. I want to see at least 20% growth.
Okay.
In getting people back in there, changing some things up. It's, in my opinion, gotten a little stagnant.
Okay.
And after going to the convention, it says you need to change 30% of your stuff every year to stay relevant. And, how else are you going to bring people in?
Yeah.
And I would love to have a new carnival at our fair. I would love to be able to entice a slightly bigger carnival to maybe come to our fair.
What does that look like for you when you bring a bigger carnival in? Is that more money up front from you? Is that is that just you need more space? What does that look like? Educate me.
It's bringing one in that maybe has a few more options and brings things. As funny as it sounds, like in a carnival, I sort of want to get back to how it used to be. Like you want to grow, but you want to keep some things the same.
Right. So that's one of your 70. Yeah, that's part of your 70% that doesn't change.
Yes. And and our carnival, we used to have way more games and the things that people would come, dime tosses, all that stuff that adults as well as children have fun with at the fair.
Right.
And there's just been a shrinkage in the amount of stuff that they've brought. And I haven't had time to talk to our current carnival and see, is there a reason that you're not filling our area as full as it used to be?
Yeah.
Do you not have the stuff for us?
It may be a staffing problem for them.
And that is a big thing too nowadays. And do you know, before COVID, there were 400 carnivals in the United States, and now there's only 200.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting niche itself. So I'd like to see my biggest goal is to grow the attendance of the fair. And to do that, I have to bring some more interesting and exciting things for them to want to come and see. And I need to promote it better. I think we need to adjust how we promote and advertise our fairs. So I want to improve our advertising, improve or change whatever that description is, some of the highlights at the fair each year, because there's your standards, you got your 4-H, and I'd love to see the 4-H program grow again. Ever since COVID, it has really struggled, and it's not nearly, it doesn't have the participation levels it used to. And that's not really all my doing, because 4-H is its own entity. And they do their own, recruiting, and it's their own program. They just come and participate and bring animals.
We've heard both. As the result of COVID, we've seen 4-H groups grow, and especially in the metro areas, but we've seen them shrink in more rural areas. And the metro areas, it was interesting because people were growing their own stuff again, and they couldn't get
it. That makes sense.
Yeah, but that happened. We saw that growth more in the urban areas than we did the rural.
And so the rural, because you're so spread apart, and through COVID, you couldn't.
Yep.
So I think for us, it's the animals. It was harder. You bring your animals together.
Yeah.
And have meetings and do things, and because you couldn't, Zoom meetings didn't really cut it for the animal projects for a very long time. And I can see how some of the agricultural stuff would grow, because you can get have a 4-H meeting, a Zoom meeting on plants and agriculture and different veins in that, and totally learn about it. Yep. And then be in your house and practice it. But that's amazing to hear, and very interesting to hear that you're hearing that from other.
Yeah. More urban-based county fairs, for sure.
So what I can do there is just help support the program and encourage them and tell them that we're working on helping them build it up, and do what I can in that respect.
Yep, absolutely.
To support that rebuilding.
Talk about the future a little bit, and how you're going to utilize the digital area of social media and even AI. What are some of the plans there?
So that one's a struggle for me. That's where I do have to ask for help, and I am actually meeting with somebody that we met at the convention. She runs a company, great name, called Fairly Decent Productions.
Mm-hmm.
And she helps with your digital media and stuff because I'm not very good at that.
Right.
Given my age range, I've embraced Snapchat because my kids had it.
Yep.
So I have found a few things that I follow, and Instagram, and Snapchat is basically just the stuff that they send me. And every once in a while, I'll get a wild hair and go on it and try and send something to my friends. Instagram, I do a little bit more. We do have an Instagram page. We do a Facebook page. We learned that Instagram is a bit more relevant for getting your information out to that younger demographic.
Yep.
Facebook is more for the older demographic. So I am asking for help in that area.
So can I give you a little advice?
I would love it.
Whatever you use and whoever you hire, number one, don't ever give up control of your social media platforms. So meaning that you can go in and you can change whatever you want to change whenever you want to change it. So that's number one. Number two, know how to do exactly what they're doing. If they're making posts for you, know how to make posts. If they're making videos, know how to make videos. So just because you may not have the time to do it doesn't mean you shouldn't know how to do it. There are a lot of companies out there that charge crazy money to do what you can do yourself, or what you could actually do yourself and pay a minimum wage or double minimum wage to a high school student or a college student who enjoys doing it. And so those are my two pieces of advice. Don't give up control, and
know to do it.
Make sure that you have knowledge of what's going on. Yep.
That's great advice. And actually, I'm glad I can say my plan was more to learn how to utilize them better. We do have a board member who does a lot of that stuff, but could probably use some refreshing in the best way to do it now. And I have had a thought of trying to get a hold of the high school and find a high school student that is in some of those types of classes that would like to be a part of the board as our high school representative and get some more experience in doing things like that. So hearing you say that just reaffirms some of those thoughts on the direction to go with that.
Yep. Very good. All right. So let's do this. We'll talk again in a year or two and we'll see where things are at for you.
Sounds great.
That's good. Nancy, thank you so much for being on with us. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Hey, today we are with Eric Day. He's with the Newport Agricultural Fair in Virginia. Eric, thanks for joining us.
Oh, happy to be on today.
Eric, give us a little background on you. Where'd you grow up, and talk a little bit about your family?
Well, I grew up in Southern Ohio, and I did the 4-H things. I went to the Hamilton County Fair. I have now become an entomologist, and I have worked at Virginia Tech for 38 years. I have a small farm in Craig County, Virginia, near Newport, within the Newport area, and I cut and sell hay, and we sell asparagus of all things.
Hey, love asparagus. Love asparagus. Is that your major crop?
No, I think the hay right now is. The asparagus could become a major crop. But it's a small farm. It's kind of, I guess you could put it in the hobby farm, but I come from a long line of farmers, so I can't help it by putting plants in a row and driving tractors in circles.
Absolutely. Very good. All right, let's jump into the fair. Talk about the wins and the where.
So the Newport Agricultural Fair is Virginia's oldest continuously produced agricultural fair. It is in the village of Newport, which is in Giles County, Virginia, which is in the southwestern part of the state. and it is a small community fair put on by the community, highly attended by the community. All are welcome, and we have lots of things like livestock, we have horse show, we have vegetable categories, we have flowers, we have kids pet shows, we have a beauty pageant, hog calling contest, so all kinds of great things. It's just a really good, fun fair. We have vendors coming in and selling all different kinds of food. I think for a lot of us, it's the time we can kind of catch up with our neighbors and visit with them at this event.
Okay. When you look back at the fair, what do you feel like is the strength of your fair?
I think the big strength is the community aspect. It is a glue that holds the community together. And not only that, it kind of holds it together in that it's, as I mentioned earlier, it's a time when everybody can get together and visit, but it's also a chance for people in the community to kind of give back and contribute to the fair and work on it. And we've got a lot of hardworking members on the fair board, a lot of longtime people who've done lots and lots of work over the years on the fair.
Now, is there a 4-H basis behind this?
Yeah, there is a 4-H component. There is a livestock show, and that is held on the Friday evening of the fair, and that is well attended. We usually get that usually goes on a couple hours at least. 10, 20 kids there, lots of different categories. Mostly recently, the livestock show has been cattle and sheep. So the horse show is something separate, not necessarily 4-H, but there's a horse show on the Saturday morning of the fair.
What do you see as how long has this fair been going on?
This will be our 90th year.
Okay.
So
long generation. As you
Yeah.
look at some of the challenges that you've seen just in your tenure there, what are some of the challenges that you guys are facing now?
Oh, I think it's kind of keeping up with the things we're supposed to do. But I think it's always searching for volunteers is always a bit of an issue. But again, I mentioned that it's very enthusiastic community support of it. It's so kind of parceling out the work. I'm relatively new to the fair board. I've been on the fair board about 7 years. I've been president for now my second year here, but get a lot of long-term members. So it's always kind of have to kind of keep up, remind people to kind of come and help out and do that sort of thing. But it really, that's kind of minor. It really all comes together. It's just everybody comes together and pulls the fair together, and that's it happens, and it happens very well.
Talk about your economics. You mentioned that this is really a community event. Where do you your sources of funding? Does that come from sponsorships? Does that come from donations? What does that look like for you guys?
The vast majority of our funds are derived from gate ticket sales and through vendors. So the vendors pay an entry fee as well as they give a percentage of their take, and that is the two major ones. We do get a few donations here and there, but the major driver again is going to be the gate admissions and the vendors.
Okay, great. As you look in the future, what are some projects you guys have coming up?
Well, we'd probably like to get a tax exempt status at some point down the road. Would be a good one for us to have. We would maybe see if we can, reach out and partner with some more of the local community groups, do some more things that way. We are partnering with the Newport Recreation Center, which is a separate organization. We have the fair at what used to be the Newport High School. And now the Newport High School, many decades ago, became the Newport Recreation Center. And so we partner with them, and so we will continue to do that down the road. But it's always it's going to be a good maintenance level every year to kind of keep looking for volunteers. You see someone, we always ask at the fair, and if someone inquires, we pull them in. I did pull in 3 new volunteers this year alone. So so things are looking good. Just got to keep up with all those kinds of maintenance sort of things. Different vendors come in and have new requirements or ideas. Old vendors, might need some help on some things too. So again, it's sort of a maintenance kind of level too, just kind of keeping up with it and keeping on top of things. And we'll have our first board meeting in January, and we'll start planning the meeting, which will happen in August.
Okay. Let's get personal for a little bit. What was your main reason for getting involved with Fair Board, and then now taking over the presidency?
Well, lots of things. Of course, being in 4-H and doing Hamilton County Fair in the 70s when I was a kid, was good. I like to be involved with the community. I was a volunteer firefighter for 10 years, so I like to do community things. My wife started out on the fair board with before I did, and she kept encouraging me to come along, and I showed up, and I just felt kind of an instant kinship with the fair board. Again, I kind of in awe about all their hard work they do, but I just like that personality that does community outreach and that sort of thing, and so it sort of fits for me, my personality, to be doing something for the community and helping out.
Well, very good, very good. All right, 2 major questions. People are going to ask me this. I'm going to get emails about this. What kind of bike you got in the background there?
Oh, well, that is a specialized, and it is I guess you might put a hybrid bike on there too. That is my noontime exercise here. I work at Virginia Tech, so that's the other background. You might see some insect drawers in the background. I'm an entomologist at Virginia Tech.
Yep.
And so that then Virginia Tech is about 5 miles away from Newport. So we're very close, and so that's been a big plus for me to be able to work at Virginia Tech and live in the Newport community. But Blacksburg's got some rail trails nearby, and so
not a standard bike. I recognize that right away. And then the next question people are going to ask: what's under the microscope right now? What's on the petri dish?
Actually, it's empty. We were just looking at I was looking at some fire ants in there.
There you go.
So that would be one of the things we do. Is we look. I run a diagnostic lab. We look at insect samples from all over the state, and including fire ants, which unfortunately occur in parts of Virginia, but fortunately none in the Blacksburg or Southwest Virginia area.
Now, are you able to utilize entomology at the actual fair? Do you have a division that utilizes that?
Occasionally, we do get like the master gardeners will be there.
Yep.
And giving out information on pests. We have partnered with the Virginia Tech College of Agriculture in the past, and gotten sponsorship from them. And of course, 4-H is Virginia Cooperative Extension. So 4-H is run our Cooperative Extension Office, and so we were partnering with them too in that manner as far as doing these 4-H projects.
That's it's funny that you bring that up, because I have a neighbor who's a master gardener, and he's always telling me about bugs. He's looking at whatever he doesn't want, he throws over on my side of the fence. So it's funny, but I appreciate that. I guess, Eric, anything else you want to add about your fair? What in your mind, what makes it the most special fair?
Well, it's the personal thing. I mean, it's just that it's the community is proud to put on the fair. They put on a great fair, and I'm just really honored to be part of the fair board.
Very good. Very good. Eric, thanks for being on with us today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for getting the word out, and hopefully you can send me a link to your podcast or whatever, so I can hear it. I like to listen to what other things you've done too.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks everybody. We are with Laurie Giannini. She's with the Calaveras County Fair. Laurie, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Good. Laurie, give us a little background on you. Where'd you grow up? Talk a little bit about your family and your career.
Oh, okay. Well, I kind of grew up a little bit of everywhere. I graduated from high school in Sparks, Nevada, My family moved to Calaveras County my senior year of high school. I married, my husband was, let me see, one, two, three, third generation cattle rancher in the same area. And our ranch was bought in 1903 by his grandfather.
Mm.
So we have a long history in Calaveras County.
Can I
So-
ask a cattle related question unrelated
Uh-huh.
to this? Cow calf pair, how many acres per cow calf pair?
Oh, out here, it depends if you're on irrigated ground, but if you're not on irrigated ground, about 1 to 20.
Okay. No, I'm just curious to find out, gives us an idea of your region. All right, let's jump into the fair. How long have you been the CEO of the fair?
I've been the CEO since November, well, it's actually November 2011. So
Oh, wow.
13 years, but I've been associated with the fairgrounds since 1991.
Very cool. Very cool. As you look back at the fair, because you grew up there,
Mhm.
talk about some of your favorite memories of your fair.
Of the fair?
Yeah.
Well, I would have to say my favorite memory of the fair was my husband and I's first date was at a fair dance. So probably that would be my favorite.
That's fantastic.
Mhm.
All right, so let's jump into your fair, because a lot of county fairs across the U.S., they're different in nature. If you described your county fair, is it more agricultural and livestock orientated, or does it mix into the county and involve other events as well?
So our county fair, county fairs in California are part of the Department of Food and Agriculture. So we are mandated to promote agriculture. So we do have a huge agriculture influence at our fair. But that being said, we have a very inviting culture. So if, we do talent shows and all kinds of crazy things just to engage more people. We have a huge professional art show. Of course, we are in an ag region, which includes wine. So we have a large wine show. We have many concerts, all different kinds of music, children's entertainment. So um, we have a heavy agricultural influence, but that being said, you have to have something to get people through the gate to teach them about agriculture, and so you have to have other activities.
Yeah, so you use it as a community outreach and education opportunity as well as it goes through there. What do you feel like are some of your strengths as a county fair?
Well, I think as a facility, we're 71 acres and we're in the rolling foothills of the Sierras. So we're beautiful for one thing. That's part of our strength.
Yeah.
We have a huge community volunteer base, which is another part of our strengths. And, we're a year-round facility. So not only are we a county fair, but we are also the catastrophic event center for our county. So when we've had large forest fires or floods or any of that, we are the facility that our community comes to. And because they love the fair, it's also a safe place. They feel safe when they come here because they know what to expect.
No, absolutely. And that brings up another question I had for you. Do you guys rent out your fairgrounds? Is it utilized for other events through the year?
Oh yeah. We in 2024, I believe we had two dark weekends in August and we have two in December. Besides that, we have things going on constantly.
Wow.
And we're a community resource. So we have a lot of quinceañeras, we have weddings, we have memorial services, we have small festivals, we have large festivals. So all the things.
That's perfect. Talk about the impact of the fair specifically on the economy. I'm assuming that it's a multi-day event. Hotels, restaurants, your community, and it benefits from that. Talk about what that economic impact.
So it's not just our fair weekend. You mentioned we are the Calaveras County Fair and Jumping Frog Jubilee. So the Jumping Frog Jubilee is is famous in its own right. It's patterned after a story that Mark Twain wrote, his first public work, which was the celebrated Jumping Frog, Calaveras County. So the frog itself is, the frog itself is an economic icon.
Yeah.
Right. So it year round. As far as the facility, our last numbers were 5.2 million in spending activity that trickles out from our facility. So it has a huge impact. It has a huge impact on our community.
Oh, fantastic. It sounds like you're busy. Is this a full-time endeavor for you and
Yes.
your staff?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. So we have a year-round staff.
Yeah. And that's different than a lot of fairs that we talk to across the board. But it sounds like you fostered that community, and it's centered. Your community is really centered around the fairgrounds and the ability to use it. That's phenomenally rare, and highly recommend. What if you had to pinpoint a weakness of your county fair that you guys would focus on to improvement? What would that be?
It would be funding. So we're kind of unique. There's 54 district agricultural associations, which are fairgrounds in the state of California. And and then there's like 21 nonprofit or county-owned fairs. So the 54, the district agricultural associations, are state agencies. So we're part of the Department of Food and Agriculture. That being said, we're non-funded state agencies. Wow. So the facility is owned by the state of California, but any improvements to the facility or our operating cost, all of that, that actually has to be generated by our facility. And we do that through the fair. We do that through some grants, and we do that through our rental program. That being said, the fairgrounds themselves all over the state are old, because like not at this particular facility, but our fair started in 1893 as a district agricultural association. So our buildings, our infrastructure, they're all older. So funding is a weakness for us, but I like to think of it also as an opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you very much. Well, I'll tell you what, thank you for your time. I appreciate you being on with us today. If people are traveling through, making summer plans, want to check out all the events that are going on at your fairgrounds, where would they go to see that?
Frogtown.org.
Frogtown.org.
Yep.
So Markle, very cool, very cool.
And it's a beautiful area, so there's lots to see and do in our area.
It for sure is. It for sure.
Okay.
Is. Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks for being on. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.
Celia Bell, and she's with the Yellow County Fair. Celia, thanks for joining us.
Yes. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Give us a little background on you. Where'd you grow up? Talk a little bit about your family and your career.
I grew up here in Danville, Arkansas. I mean, I'm originally from Boonville, Arkansas, but I've mainly grew up here in Danville. Me and my husband were poultry and cattle farmers. About 20 years ago, I started raising meat goats. And so that's kind of what got me started with the Yale County Fair. I went to them about 20 years ago and asked them if they would add the goats to the fair for the kids to show, and that's kind of what got me started with the fair. Wow. But I've pretty well been a farmer most of my life, and that's what I do as an occupation.
Okay, all right. And what is your role with the fair?
I started out as the goat superintendent, and then about 2 years ago, I was elected as fair board president, and I've been serving as fair board president for the past 2 years.
Okay, very good. If you described your fair in its entirety, is it more livestock and agricultural based? Is it more community events based? How would you describe your fair?
I would say it's all around. It's not just one thing. It's community based. It's livestock. We have a carnival. We have livestock scrambles. We have a large EH building where everyone's able to come and bring their arts and crafts, canned goods, quilts, that type of stuff. We also have a commercial building where we have vendors that set up. And so we have just, well, and also a talent contest for the kids. We have a beauty contest. So it's just an all around community type fair.
That's good. What would you say is the strength of your fair? Because every county fair is different. It has a different purpose. Yours seems to be pretty diverse. What's a strength that you feel like you have at your county fair?
I would say the biggest strength with our county fair is our community.
Okay.
Our community, the businesses, the people. That's to me, that's the main strength to our fair.
What's some of the challenges? And I'm sure that we'll hit on a lot of them, but what's one of your biggest challenges that you have with your county fair?
I would say it would be funding.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've been on the board for over 20 years, and we have never gotten, as far as I know of, a raise through our state to give us more funding. So we primarily have to depend on the community and businesses to help keep us going. We do receive state money, but the state money that we receive is what we consider premium money that we put right back out into the community. We do receive construction fund money to help keep up the buildings, but a lot of times that falls short as to being able to keep up those buildings to be able to provide those events for the community.
Sure. Give us a little bit of a background and structure for that money coming in to help support the fair. Is that more sponsorships? Is that donations? Give us a percent breakdown.
Are you talking about like what we have to operate on? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. The funds that come in, is that more in the form of sponsorships, like for particular events? Do you sell sponsorships, or does a lot of it come through private donations?
Most of it is private donations that give us. Now we do keep our gate money. Now our gate money is what we use to help pay the electric bill and that type of stuff to keep us going. Most of the sponsorship money that we do receive, now that goes right back out to the kids. Yeah. Because they'll want to come and bid like at the livestock auction or give add-on money. Any of the prizes, any type of stuff like that. Now that money goes 100% back out to the kids that are showing.
Okay. All right. Let's besides finances, what's an area that you're really going to focus on in the future that you'd like to see grow?
I would really like to see we have a commercial building. It's a nice building. We just put a brand new roof on it last year. To me, I kind of feel like it's not had the attention that it really needs. We added a competition last year. It was called ag mechanics competition. And so I'd like to expand that in that building there, and then be able to make it a little more inviting for our vendors to set up inside there.
I got you. We see a digital transformation across the spectrum of fairs and festivals and events as it goes through there. What are some ways that you guys are embracing technology and looking to expand on that with your county fair?
Okay, last year was our first year to have a website. That way people can go on that website. They can find out what time the gates open, the prices, anything that they need to know about our fair. They can go on there and find out. I mean, Facebook's a great way to get information, but unless you're scrolling and really looking at that Facebook, you're just not going to be able to get the information like what you can being able to go on that website. We can also take donations to our fair on that website. We have a pay link on there. So if anybody wants to help out, with any type of cost or whatever, they can go on there and do that. Another thing that we added this year was being able to take debit cards there at the gate. And that's something that's never been done before at our fair.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably pretty as common as it is everywhere else. That isn't something that you see at every county fair. So that's pretty neat. that
Yes.
you do that.
Yes,
I
and,
like
and, we, and like I said, we just added that, this year. So
Sure.
it's going to take a little while for that to catch on, but it went pretty well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I always like to ask this next question as kind of a closeout question because it's personal. And what do you feel like makes your fair special?
The people in the community is what makes our fair special. It's just, I can't even, it's almost hard to even put into words. Just to tell you the support that we had on our Thursday night, which is our chicken and calf and a scramble night. We actually had to turn away anywhere from 150 to 200 people trying to get on our fairgrounds this year. We just did not have the room, the parking. We had that much of people wanting to come to our fair and enjoy our fair, and we had the room on the fairgrounds. We just ran out of parking of people wanting to come there. So that tells you what type of support and what type of community that we have. And the people in this area they just go above and beyond. I just can't say more about the people in this area.
Yeah, that's fantastic to hear. Absolutely. Very good. So best way for people to find out information for you is your website. What is that web address?
That is yellcountyfair.com.
yellowcountyfair.com. Thank you so much for being on with us today.
yellowcountyfair.com.
I appreciate it, Celia. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We certainly appreciate it.
Guys, we're with Taylor Haley. She is with the Albany County Fair. Taylor, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Give us a little background on you. Where'd you grow up and talk a little bit about your family and career?
Sure. So I actually grew up here in Laramie where I work. I was raised in 4-H FFA, hunting, fishing, all of the good outdoor stuff that comes when you live in Wyoming. My dad was a game warden and my mom actually ran this county fair for 21 and a half years until she retired in 2009. After high school, I went to Oklahoma on a full-ride scholarship to judge horses, then went to Oklahoma State after that. Graduated with an agriculture education degree, taught in Nebraska, Arizona, and then in northern Wyoming, and then came back to Laramie in 2020, and then got this job in October of 21. So I just celebrated 3 years here.
Well, very good. You have been very active in the industry for sure. Let's jump into the Albany County Fair. Give us the dates. Let's start there.
So our dates for this next year, we're always the first full week of August.
Okay.
Our sale is always the first Saturday of August. This year, our fair starts on July 24th and goes through August 2nd. We start with indoor projects, and then we move into shooting sports and the horse show and the dog show, and then our animals come to the grounds.
Okay, very good, very good. Now, we talked earlier, you don't offer a carnival or midway or anything like that. You're very, very ag orientated. Talk about the role of agricultural elements in your county fair.
So our county is unique. We are basically a cow-calf operation and native grass hay. Our elevation, we sit at about 7,200 feet right here in Laramie, so it just goes up from here. So we don't have row crops. We don't have a lot of alfalfa. If you can get any to grow, it's not great. We have a large majority, because our university sits here, our only 4-year university sits in Laramie. And it is a land grant. It does have a research unit. But because we are situated in Albany County, we have a large influx of folks coming in to buy ranchettes, 40-acre pieces of property. And over the years, we've had some ranches sold and they've turned into those different housing developments. But we do have a very heavy ag presence. And we have a very supportive ag community. Our county fair is more of a participant county fair. It's just a showman's. Basically, we've done some events and things to bring in the public in the evenings, over the hill showmanship where adults can show animals, and it is a total riot to watch. This next year, we're going to try some equine events. I'm traditionally a horse person, so we're going to try some roping and barrel racing and then maybe add on to that down the road. But we are unique because we have Jubilee Days, which is our hometown celebration, rodeo, carnival, all of the things, the first part of July. So we're right stacked in between lots of county fairs that have carnivals. Then Jubilee Days just had one in town. Then Cheyenne Frontier Days ends at the beginning of our fair.
Mhm.
So we go Jubilee Days, Cheyenne Frontier Days, our county fair. So there's a lot of things that we could have a carnival. It probably wouldn't be very productive, and it definitely would not be as productive for Jubilee Days. So we just haven't really crossed that bridge. So we're finding more unique ways to bring folks to the grounds.
Yeah, no, I like your ideas, and I think you're right. I think you find your niche and you go with it. Talk about the the craft side. Do you guys have an element of that? Do you have allow like home ec entrance and stuff like that?
We do. So when I took this position over in 2021, I overhauled the book and the classes and what's available, because things have changed and the book really hadn't morphed into what is mainstream and what are people doing. And in my off time, I actually do really like to craft. So I added a lot of different things to where people in the community could do that. Last year, we added a sourdough class. Sourdough bread is like every third video I see on TikTok, and it's all over Facebook. And so we added a sourdough category. So we're now to the point with our county fair that we can start to amend and add new classes, take some away, do some unique pieces to keep folks that maybe have never seen a county fair or been involved in one, and they happen to be into macrame, and we have an area where they could exhibit their macrame. So we have I've gone really heavy on promoting our indoor and our static exhibits, and that has helped tremendously. We have increased our entries from 2021 until now by about 2,000 total over fair. On average, we keep seeing an increase, and a lot of that has to do with indoor entries. We've really, or I have anyway, with my office staff that I have, I've really tried to update it and modernize our county fair. So there's new information out about, animals and the products they produce that we can create, and bringing an ag education piece to it. One of my office staff this past summer created some ag education pieces to be hung up in our barns, and we actually printed them on vinyl banners so they can be hung up and just live there. And we try to do a lot of things on our Facebook to keep people engaged, like national days of whatever, and link it to a Pinterest board that has some ideas for folks to create for crafts for fair. And we actually took that idea from another fair manager in Montana. So there's lots of things we've been doing to kind of increase and modernize our fair.
Well, I'll tell you right now, that's exactly why we're doing what we're doing today. Is the diversity of county fairs, festivals, when we do rodeos, it's the same thing. There's so much that is different from region to region. But what you just said right there, you guys have taken all the elements of your community. You said, hey, they're doing this over here, they're doing this over here. We're going to do this, and we're going to expand it. Yeah. So what you're doing is what a lot of other rural agricultural based fairs need to be doing. And so when I go to your Facebook page, you can see that. You can see your social media page and the interaction that you're going through. That's like you said, you're actually taking that information, you're formulating entrance from that as it goes through there. I was going to ask you, what do you feel like is the most special thing about your county fair? But I really feel like you've really highlighted that. As you look to the future, and your landscape is changing. You said that you've got an influx of people. We hear about it in other parts of the country. People are flocking to Wyoming and Montana, but as your landscape changes, and that urbanite that comes in, are you looking ahead to that in ways to implement those?
Yeah, so I actually take recommendations after fair for new classes or divisions and implement those. So we're looking at an AI piece for this next year. So the artificial intelligence side of technology is becoming huge. And I actually had that suggested by another 4-H parent on 2 different areas to put AI created items into our fair. So we will have those 2 new areas at least. We've changed some rules. We still, of course, have like baking and canned goods and all of the things. However, because prices are higher, I think that affects some people's ability to be able to put items into the fair. So we've changed it to where you only have to enter a slice of pie. You don't have to enter a whole pie. So when we don't grow apples in Laramie, but you want to make an apple pie for county fair, you're not going to waste all of the pie. You're just going to have that one piece that you turn in.
I mean, it'd have to be pretty bad to be wasted, though, wouldn't it?
That's true.
But no, I understand what you're saying. That's perfect. You're the first one to have mentioned AI as it goes through there as an entrance. That's interesting as it goes through. Taylor, I know your time is short. What would you like to add? Anything else you want other fairs? If they were going to look at your fair and they said, what makes it special and what can we implement from your fair into other fairs, what would you say that is?
Sure. So I think that there's a couple of those different pieces. When I came into this position, we really started working on increasing the involvement and participation of businesses in our sale. Our junior livestock sale is one of the most prolific ones in the state. We hit almost $1 million with less than 200 lots this year. And so I think that there are things that don't be afraid to call other county fairs and ask for ideas. Don't be afraid to try something for a year or 2 or 3 and see how it goes. You can always go back to the way it was done before, but don't get stuck in your ways that the way we've done it is the way that it has to be done. There are ways that you can change, modify, and improve things at your county fair to make it smoother for your participants and your fair goers that come out from town. And also just create a more positive atmosphere at your fair, especially on sale day. It gets to be pretty sad when some of those younger kids have to put their, they leave their animals here that they've had all summer. And so just making sure that you're implementing things to keep it positive throughout the whole week and things that you can improve on, or you look at something and don't be afraid to look at what you did and say, that was not good. I need to do it this way next year. Take notes all year, call other fair managers, go visit their fairs. I went to Denver Stock Show and watched the sale to see if there was anything we could add and change for our fair. So don't be afraid to get out there and go do things and experience other places, because you never know how something could be done because you've never seen it done that way.
Yeah, perfect. Taylor, thanks for joining us today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, I want to thank Randall Mitchell, Sebastian County Fair, for being on with us today. Randall, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Randall, give us a little background on you. Where'd you grow up? Talk a little bit about your family and your private business career.
Absolutely. So I actually grew up in California and lived there for 55 years. I was in an agricultural community in the heart of California, a small town called Lodi. Sometimes people get stuck there. But anyway, I moved to Arkansas about 15 years ago, and just a wonderful small community in Greenwood, Arkansas. I had retired. I worked, my last job was with Cargill Animal Nutrition, and I was able to retire young and moved out to Arkansas. Had 2 of my grown children decide to follow us out here. So now I've got a couple of grandkids running around town too.
Very good. Very good. All right, let's jump into the Sebastian County Fair. We're really looking for things that make you unique and really where you as a county fair association, your focus lies. And so let's really start there. Let's talk about Sebastian County Fair and where does their focus really lie?
Okay, our focus really lies on those kids in our county, Sebastian County. Our host city is Greenwood, Arkansas. These kids work hard raising their livestock and everything, so we try to promote the kids as much as we can. We raise a lot of money for our auction. We raised over $88,000 for the kids that participated this year so that they could continue to go on and show. And then the flip side of that, we also have our home economics building that has everything from fine art, photography, canned goods, quilts, and we allow them to come and compete and receive money for those as well.
Okay. All right. You really hinted on there that earlier in our conversation off air that the agricultural side of things was direly important to your fair. Talk about that.
Absolutely. As areas start to develop, you see less and less agriculture because the farmland's being taken up. This area at one time had a lot of dairy cattle. Now it's mostly beef cattle. We do still have some agriculture. We're in the south part of the county, Fort Smith being in the northern part. And so a lot of these kids in our county, especially in the more developed areas, aren't around any animals. We host on a Thursday and Friday from 9 to noon schools that come to the fairgrounds before we open. They get to tour the livestock, and some of these kids, their eyes just light up because they didn't ever see a cow up close.
Yeah.
Or didn't know the difference between a sheep and a goat. And so they get hands-on experience, and of course they get to see all facets of the fair at that time.
Yeah.
So really promoting that and trying to promote the 4-H and FFA is very important to us because we feel they're good organizations that help develop character in children.
I love that idea. You mentioned economic impact, and I find that an interesting topic to find that a county fair can have an actual economic impact on your community. Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. So just before our county fair this last year, I was introduced to AI technology. Placer AI is the actual software that we use. And through that, what we've been able to determine is we can block out that week of the fair and we can see where people are coming from. So I happen to know that 36% of our fair attendees were from our town. The other 62% were from outside of our city.
Wow.
So they all come into our town and buy gas, eat. I was able to tell the restaurants that, well, almost 3,000 people were either dining at your establishment before they came to the fair or left the fairgrounds and went to eat at your establishment. So they see how much money is coming into our community just because of the fair being here.
Does that help when it comes to getting sponsorships from local businesses and community? Does that help bring finances into to enable and allow you guys to have a good infrastructure?
It absolutely does. We get grants from our advertising and promotion commission that we have here in Greenwood. And so when I'm able to present them facts, there is I think a 1 or 2% tax at dining establishments that fund this advertising and promotion commission. And so when I can show them directly, hey, here's what they're doing as far as eating in your restaurants when they come, and that money directly, then they see the impact of what we do for that commission.
Yeah, very good, very good, very good. You talked about future. I love the fact that you're looking ahead to the future. And when you focus on the future, what are some of the things that you really want to dive into and utilize for the county fair and the vitality and the growth?
Sure. So one of the things, I was elected as president 3 years ago, been involved in the association about 4 years. And when I first became involved, we have a 27-acre facility here, and it was really only used, we have a rodeo arena, and our Roundup Club puts on a rodeo in June, and then we have our county fair in August. So outside of the Fair Association really didn't do anything with the property the rest of the year. So I felt that was a tremendous waste of resources, and they live from one fair to another. So in seeing that, what we did was we added a crawfish festival that we have in the spring that brought in a big bunch of people. And I mean, we had a 5K race. We had runners from Oklahoma City, Edmond, Oklahoma, guy that won our crawfish eating contest actually came up from Hot Springs. And so we were drawing people from throughout the region. That helps fund us money to get the infrastructure up to snuff, because before they were neglected on maintenance and stuff like that. So we're using other events to help fund making the facility better and expand what we're able to do.
I love it.
We do have a big project right now. Starting on Black Friday, we will have a trail of lights, and it will be throughout the fairgrounds. We have 50 different large display fixtures. I've already put up about 3,000 lights, and we actually do that as a community service. It's free to get in. You can make a donation. And what we use our donations for and stuff like that is funding kids' scholarships to go on to school. And we try to hit those kids that are going to trade school or something like that, because they don't get a lot of the scholarships.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Wonderful. I think facility utilization for county fairs is huge, especially when those buildings set for so long. And you know, underutilized. That's the easiest way to put it on there. Randall, what are some other things you would like people to know about Sebastian County Fair?
Well, I think first and foremost that to get a little emotional. This association is run completely by volunteers. We have one part-time office person that kind of keeps everything together for us, but we're all volunteers and we all work hard not only to bolster the kids in our county, but also give the senior citizens and others, all those in between, an opportunity to come and participate. It's like a family reunion when they all come to the fair. And I just think that so many counties now, we have two close to us that can't even afford a carnival. One of them doesn't have a pageant or talent show. We're fortunate to do both of those as well. But we want to invest, our association really wants to invest in the lives of the next generation. And so that's what we're working hard to do.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Fantastic. How do people find out more about the Sebastian County Fair Association?
They can visit our website, sebastiancountyfair.com, or they can find us on Facebook, Sebastian County Fair.
All right. Very good. Thank you so much for being on with us, Randall. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having us.
You're welcome. Hey, we're with Jay Laughlin. He is with Pulaski Regional County Fair. Let me say if I'm saying that right. Yeah, we got it pretty much. Pulaski County Regional Fair. We're good. Jay, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Jay, give us a little background on you. Where'd you grow up? Talk a little bit about your family, because family is always important in that community, and then we'll jump into the fair.
I come from a big family that's been based here in Pulaski County in Waynesville, and I've been here my whole entire life. My brothers and I all grew up here. My uncles all grew up here. My uncles and aunts. You know, like I said, Laughlin family's been a big name here in the county for a long time. Predominantly, we've dealt in farming and cattle, but some of us have branched out into other entities. But you know, mostly it's been farm.
Very good. Very good. Well, talk about your role with the fair. Let's jump into the regional fair.
Well, I can't remember exactly what year it was. My kids were little, and you know, we had some interest in showing some livestock, and you know, and there wasn't very many places where you could go. And I had a guy come to us in Pulaski County, had never had a regional fair, and so James Rink, who is now the FFA teacher at Lakeway, and he was the ag teacher here at Waynesville at that time, and he came to me wanting to start a fair. And we put together a group of people that from surrounding communities and from here, and started the board. And we started with nothing, and we kind of built it up from there. But our dominant thing that we wanted to do was to provide a good place for the kids to be able to show their projects, and we wanted to be able to, you know, pay good premiums so it would encourage them to come forth and do that, you know. And we started with nothing, and it's built up, and we've got good facilities now, and you know, it's a big deal.
So would you say the primary focus of the regional fair is that ag and livestock community?
When we first started, that's where we kind of aimed it at. That's what we wanted to take care of, and you know, we did it. The first couple of fairs we had, we did it in conjunction with with another club here in Pulaski County that had a established carnival. And so we just kind of let them do their carnival, but we did put on some other events. We put on our livestock show, and then we had some music. And, you know, it's not just for the farm kids, it's for everybody. But we wanted to kind of, Pulaski County is no longer just a farm community. At one time, it was predominantly farm and ranchers and things like that. But, you know, we have Fort Leonard Wood right here, so we have a lot of different people that have moved in here and stay here. So every year we try to have other events to kind of showcase kind of what goes on in the country, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And we try to, you know, we put on a bull ride. We've done a bull riding since we started. You know, we've tried horse shows. We've had live music. We've had garden tractor pulls. But we did ATV. We did a motocross. We did ATV rodeos. And we've tried a little bit of everything, and we kind of got a schedule now that works pretty good for us. We're limited on parking and limited on how much stuff we can put together. So, you know, we kind of have to set it up where logistic wise we can get people in and out of there, you know?
Yeah.
And we have spent more of our focus on putting together a good facility for our kids to showcase their projects.
Okay.
And we've bought some barns and you know, put up some barns and buildings that we didn't have. We started in a tent. We set up a big tent up there in front of it, and we borrowed every portable panel in the county just so we had enough pens to set up so people could put their animals in. And you know, we set up you know, an arena out of panels, and we did a bull ride and horse show in it, and you know, and it worked. I mean, what we did, it worked. But every year we try to push it forward and try to add to what we have to make it easier to put on and make it take up less room, I guess. So, you know, make it where we can do more things.
Sure. Absolutely. Talk about the economic impact that this has grown in the community. You've done a good, you know, you talked about your community involvement, just bringing in different types of activities for a community that's not necessarily just ag and livestock. Talk about the economic impact when people come in. How long is your event there? And do people stay hotels? You know, talk about that impact.
We have our event starts on a Wednesday and it always ends on Saturday right before Father's Day. We always do clean up on Father's Day. And you know, there has to be quite a bit of economic impact because of the number of people that are through there. And I mean, we don't have a front gate, so we don't keep track of exactly how many people. But I mean, we did a bull ride and we had like 1,700 people that attended our bull riding, and you know, and plus the carnival was jam packed. And you know, we have an amazing carnival. We've been the same group for 4 or 5 years, and a lot of people just come out for the carnival. But I mean, we try to have other activities going on. And you know, I talked about the agricultural kids and what we done. You know, over the years we've given away thousands of dollars of scholarships every year, and try to promote that. And you know, one way that we can kind of educate people and educate other kids is if you have that back there and, hey, Dad, look at that. And let's go back there and watch and see what they're showing. And then, hey, I'd kind of like to get into some of that.
Yeah.
And they may not be able to show a steer or a lamb, but you know, we have chicken shows and we have rabbit shows. And recently we've added a dog show even. And we do a dog show up there one night. And it's, you know, it's purely for entertainment and fun. There's no points or anything like that or payback on it, but I mean, it's just a fun deal where everybody can be involved if they want to.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about.
I'd say there's probably nights though that we'll have. I would say there's nights that we'll have between 10 and 15,000 people through the gate.
Yeah, that's a huge impact. Let's talk about the future of where some things you guys are looking forward to going in the future. Talk about a few of those ideas you have.
Well, I mean, you know, the big thing, like I said, is we're building a little bit every year. We have a hog barn back there that we built, and purely out of donated materials. So we didn't have a lot of money, but we're going to try to pour concrete floor in it, which will make it better for our equine or our hog shows, and then which is going to take the heat off of our cattle barn and our show barn, and so. it's all kind of tied together. And so every year we've been trying to spend some money and add to those barns to make it better, where we can have more people and be able to handle it better and easier. And we're still continuing that. We have a couple little projects planned for this year, but in the future we've looked at doing maybe an amphitheater somewhere. And there again, the logistics is what kills us, because our parking is terrible. Whenever we have the fair, it just like clutters up that end of town, and it's quite the deal. We had some volunteers that's come in over the years and have helped us in parking, and Mark Twain React, and then Smitty and his family have done it the last few years. And it's a huge job to get everybody parked in there, but we've been able to do it. And like I said, it's a big deal. I mean, it's a big fair and it's fun, and it's a lot of work. But I mean, it's well, one of the things that we've done this year is we've implemented, instead of, we're going to give away our scholarships to you, and but we're going to do what they call a grant, and be an FFA grant. And so these kids have these projects that they're doing, and whether it's build a Adirondack chair, or maybe they want a pig, or maybe they want a chicken, we're going to give grants to these kids.
Oh man, that's cool.
They have to apply for them just like you would for a bank loan.
Sure.
But, and then we approve them and we give them the money, and it helps them with their project, and everything that they sell it for or whatever they do with it, it's theirs. Our ag teachers are going to be in charge of making sure that they're doing their projects and the money's spent where it's supposed to be spent at. And, I think it's going to be a good deal for us. I think it'll be a good deal for the kids.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Very good. Very good. Jay, anything you want to?
90% of what we've done this for all the way through is for the kids.
Yeah.
And I mean, whether it's, back there, we have a bull riding one night, and we do a couple kids events, and there'll be 150, 200 kids in the arena. And we offer free admission for kids to our bigger events. We have the barns back there for the livestock and all that. It's all free. I mean, go in and see whatever you want, and it doesn't cost you anything, and for the kids or for anybody. And it's kind of educational, but it's kind of cool too. I mean, it's something to do, and it kind of showcases the agricultural community.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely, very good. Anything else you want to add for people that are listening and looking to hit the road this summer and go to something new? Anything else you want to add?
It's always, like I said, it's always a great event. We always need help. So if anybody would like to step up and volunteer to come in and help, I mean, it's kind of a thankless job, but it's not either, because it's probably one of the biggest events that goes on in Pulaski County and in St. Robert. And it's, like I said, it's a cool deal, and there's a lot of people there, and anybody that's wanting something to do during the summer, it's definitely worth a day to go check it out.
There you go.
And,
there you go.
It's cool.
Pearl, very good. Jay, thanks for being on with us today. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Positivity.